In my past life, my father died in a car accident, my sister chose the inheritance he left behind, while I was taken away by my mother. In the end, during the high-temperature apocalypse, the inheritance proved utterly useless, yet under the protection of my mother and stepfather, live like a little princess. My sister died with me in mutual hatred. When we opened our eyes again, we had both returned to that day of choice. This time, my sister rushed into our mother's embrace first. "Mom, I can't bear to leave you, take me with you." She didn't know that in my past life, I survived by my own strength. When my younger sister threw herself into Mom's arms, that's when I knew I wasn't the only one who had been reborn. In a past life, Mom said she would only take one daughter with her. She pushed me into Mom's arms, choosing to inherit the property Dad left behind for herself. "Sister, I know you can't bear to part with Mom. I'm giving up the happy life for you. Aren't you going to thank me?" In this lifetime, she threw herself into her mother's arms like a peacock in full plumage, afraid of being even a step too late. "Mom, I want to go with you. I can't bear to be apart from you." I smiled. Since childhood, Mother had always favored her more. She was overjoyed to hear that her younger sister wanted to leave with her. Originally, she had been worried, afraid that her daughter wouldn't be able to accept it. She never expected her younger sister would actually want to leave with her. I lowered my head in silence, not saying a word. My younger sister held our mother's hand and walked up to me. "Sister, no one will take care of you anymore. You'll have to take care of yourself from now on." As she passed by me, her voice was very soft, laced with mockery in her tone. "Your good days will soon be mine. I can't wait to see you struggle with money you can't even spend." I knew exactly why she would say such things. In my previous life, my father passed away suddenly, and soon after, Mom brought home an uncle. Dad left behind a substantial inheritance, and in that past life, my younger sister chose to inherit it, but unexpectedly, a high-temperature apocalypse arrived soon after. The money she held in her hands became utterly useless, and I changed completely after the apocalypse. I have princess dresses, live in air-conditioned rooms, and dress beautifully every day. It formed a stark contrast with her. Later, she knelt before my mother, begging her to take her in. The stepfather sneered and mocked her. "Take a look at yourself. Do you really deserve this princess lifestyle? Get the hell out of here." The younger sister was immediately kicked out. Later, when she knelt and begged before others over a bottle of water, I stepped out of the car like a princess, with someone even holding an umbrella for me. My sister went completely crazy, pulling out a knife and lunging at me. I also used all my strength to stab the knife into her body. In this lifetime, she chose to follow her mother without hesitation. She seemed to already be fantasizing about her future life as a little princess. "The life of a little princess now belongs to me. From now on, you'll live under the scrutiny of others." Looking at the empty room, it's indeed quite lonely being alone. Mom made it sound nice, saying she'd come back to see me when she has time. But no matter how much she loved her younger sister, she never came back to visit her, let alone me. Calculating the time, Mom and stepfather must have been involved with each other even before Dad passed away. I returned to my own room, looking at the photo of the happy family of 4. Those beautiful days seemed like just yesterday. Dad's gaze at me was exceptionally gentle. Since childhood, Mom never liked me. Even when I came in first place, she still didn't like me. Only Dad would gently pat my head and say, "Our Precious got first place. That's amazing. Dad's going to reward our Precious." That's just the kind of wonderful person he was. But in the end, something went wrong. I withdrew my gaze and tried to clench my hands tightly. I will strive to live on, to live well. I looked at the scenery outside the window. The sun was shining brightly, and pedestrians came and went in an endless stream. No one could have imagined that in just 10 days, the high-temperature apocalypse would arrive. At first, temperatures consistently exceeded 40 degrees, and everyone complained, but no one thought it was unusual. What caught everyone's attention was the daily rise in temperature. It actually reached as high as 50 degrees. In just 2 days, the temperature rose again to 60 degrees, and no one dared to go outside. The terrifying heat made even rescue operations impossible. People could only stay at home as much as possible. Anyone who went out would be scorched to death in less than 10 minutes. No one dared to challenge nature. Money becomes utterly worthless at this moment. True despair came on the third morning when the air conditioning stopped working, meaning everyone had to stay indoors. Most households had already exhausted their stockpiled supplies. In my previous life, I could still manage to shower every 2 days despite such scarce water resources. Of course, my sister was jealous. having lived a second life. She was determined to seize the good days firmly in her hands. I took out a piece of paper and wrote down all the things I needed. My younger sister thought money was the most useless thing and easily discarded it in this lifetime. Even after living a second life, you're still this foolish. Money is the most useful thing in this world. First, reinforce the doors and windows. In the apocalypse, human nature is often the most terrifying thing. The most terrifying moment is when they know I'm a girl alone at home with plenty of supplies. Often, it's best not to test a person's heart. In earlier years, it was quite difficult for Dad to support the three of us, and this floor was only bought after emptying our pockets. We only bought the 5th floor, which is a relatively low level with very little sunlight, hence the lowest price. Moreover, due to its remote location, the occupancy rate is extremely low. Little did they expect that when the high-temperature apocalypse arrived, this residential area would instead become a relatively safe place. The current problem is that Dad's solo employment left almost no savings. At most, it amounts to just 50,000 yuan. This is precisely why my sister and mother could so easily abandon Dad's inheritance. Apart from this apartment, nothing else is even worth mentioning. Anyone would choose to trade their inheritance for their own reputation. But I'm already an adult now, quickly downloaded various small loan platforms. No one knows when the apocalypse will end, or how many people will remain afterward. The entire world will likely need to be reshuffled. Borrowed 500,000, but it's not enough, far from enough. 2. I called my younger sister. The stepfather is somewhat of a wealthy nouveau riche, and to appease her, he would surely give her a considerable amount of money. What did you call me for? Her tone was dripping with impatience. Lend me 200,000 yuan. I won't beat around the bush. TSK, sis, not to be rude, but what era is this, and you're still thinking about enjoying life? Her voice was laced with sarcasm. You probably won't live much longer. How about 200,000 for your life? She transferred the money to me swiftly and decisively. I knew perfectly well that she didn't care about the sisterly bond between us. She just wanted to flaunt how good her life was now in front of me. I took the money, let out a light chuckle and warned, "Little sister, appearances can be deceiving." As soon as the words left my mouth, the call was abruptly ended. I've already warned her. If she refuses to believe it, there's nothing more I can do. Some people are determined to court disaster, and no one can stop them. Using my sister's ID card, I took out another 1 million loan from a shady online lender. Now I have 1.75 million on me, which made me feel slightly more at ease. With money in hand, I immediately called the installation company without stopping, without even blinking. I chose the most expensive and best Chinese glass. They say even bullets can't break it. Whether it's truly that amazing, we'll know once we test it. I even installed 3 layers on the door. The installation technician looked at me for the 3rd time and couldn't help but say, "Young lady, this door is already the best our company offers. There's no need to install so many." I replied with a pitiful tone. My father passed away, and my mother left with my younger sister. I live alone at home, and I'm scared. Seeing my reddened eyes, the installation technician softened and even promised to add 3 locks to each door for me. This way, unless I willingly open it myself, no one could possibly unlock my door from the outside. The work that was supposed to take 7 days to complete. I pretended to be scared again and slipped the technician 5,000 yuan. "Uncle, many of my relatives know I'm home alone. Could you hurry a bit? I'm scared." Perhaps seeing how pitiful I looked, or maybe because I was easy to talk to, the 2 installation technicians started working without hesitation. For 100,000 yuan. They guaranteed they could work overtime today and finish all the installations by tonight. The door and window issue has been resolved. In a high-temperature apocalypse, the most important thing is water. People can go 3 days without food, but absolutely cannot go 3 days without water. Buying too many things at once will raise suspicion. I used 5 different platforms on my phone, divided among 20 stores, and ordered 100 barrels of water from each. Water doesn't expire, so it's good to stock up more. I even managed to negotiate a discount because I bought in bulk. I also rented a small warehouse near my home. It cost a total of 15,000. Can't let others know my exact whereabouts. Just put the address as the small warehouse. I drove my dad's 5-year-old car to the big warehouse-style supermarket again. I went straight to the fast food section and cleared out all the products on the shelves. Also rice, oil, and flour, foods that can be stored for a long time. 10 bags of each, plus preserved meats like cured bacon and sausages, as well as powdered milk. If nothing goes wrong in the future, these supplies will be enough to last me 5 years. It's not enough, far from enough, at least in my previous life. No rescue came even after a year. I must arrange a reasonable escape plan for myself. Afraid of arousing suspicion, I first checked out and shipped these items back. Although I bought a lot of things, it's quite common in warehouse stores. Even the cashier just reminded me to be careful on the road. After returning home, I ordered another 100 boxes of instant noodles and sausages online, all shipped to the rented warehouse. After finishing these tasks, I allowed myself a 10-minute break. I pushed my small cart downstairs. Mineral water is exceptionally important to me. The warehouse is just a temporary shelter for me. I can never entrust my life to others. I must hurry and transport all the water up here. I'm not very strong, and I have to keep it under wraps. By 3 a.m., I finally managed to transport all 2,000 barrels of mineral water up here. By this time, blisters had already formed on my feet, but I knew full well that time was running out for me. I placed another online order for 100 cases of mineral water and 1,000 loaves of bread. 3. After finishing everything, I went to inspect the installed gate once more. Grabbing a kitchen knife, I frantically hacked at the gate, but it remained completely unmoved. Knowing I have 3 more of these sturdy doors makes me feel even more at ease. After locking all the doors, I fell into a deep sleep. For the next 3 days, I kept purchasing supplies non-stop. I bought all kinds of meat and vegetables that could be stored for long periods. The room is already packed to the brim. With just the supplies in this room, I could survive for at least 30 years. The weather is getting hotter now. I know the time is almost up. The money in hand has been spent, leaving only 500,000. In a high-temperature apocalypse, the most unbearable thing is the extreme heat. When the time comes, every household will experience water and power outages, so I must buy a few small solar generators. Just as I was going out, I heard laughter. My spine straightened as if struck by electricity. My sister appeared before me, holding our mother and stepfather's hands. She wore a pristine white dress, like an untainted little princess fresh from a castle, her eyes brimming with disdain and mockery. The stepfather beside her praised my sister. Juno in her white dress reminds me of the day we first met. You looked just as beautiful. Mom blushed. I sneered on the side. One cheated during marriage. The other knowingly became the other woman despite knowing they were married with children. Disgusting. I clenched my fists tightly, thinking of what happened in my past life. My heart filled with resentment, and my whole body trembled. I will definitely make them pay for this. My younger sister walked up to me holding her princess dress. Sister, you once told me that Dad was the one who broke our family apart. I hated Mom and Dad, but after spending time with Dad, he treats me really well, like his own daughter. You shouldn't misunderstand him either. I never expected my sister would change how she addresses our stepfather. Mom's expression immediately darkened upon hearing those words. I always knew you were no good. I should have strangled you at birth instead of letting you live to drive a wedge between me and your sister. My sister gloated maliciously. Sister, disaster's coming soon. Want to come back with us? Though I recall you don't like Dad, and Dad may not like you either. Maybe you should beg Mom and Dad for mercy. As she spoke, she straightened her back to show me the pristine white princess dress she was wearing. She was waiting to see me break down with regret, but I didn't. I looked at her calmly. It must be exhausting pretending to be sweet and smiling every day. That one sentence successfully made her change her expression. I don't understand what you're saying. We came here to give you a chance, but since you don't appreciate it, forget it. After saying that, she turned around and took her mother's hand. Looking somewhat like she was fleeing in panic, I leisurely made my way back home. By this time, the second-hand solar generator I had purchased had already been delivered. Looking at the generator before me, my eyes reddened. Truth be told, it's been a long time since I've been carefree. In such circumstances, even one's own flesh and blood might be abandoned. How could they possibly treat me any better? It's just that the stakes on me are too high. Every night, I wake up in the arms of different people. They have to dress me up beautifully and give me the best life. Only then will I catch the eye of the rich and powerful. Only then will they gain greater benefits. I didn't know in my past life. I only knew that Mom didn't like me, and I had to work hard to make them like me. Every day, various strangers would come to my stepfather's house. They didn't even talk business, just sat across from me watching. Their lecherous eyes kept scanning over my body. To avoid being kicked out, I had to suppress my disgust and listen to them. Some even went as far as putting their hands on me, thinking of those tragic experiences from my past life. I closed my eyes. In this lifetime, I will never again hand over control of my life to others. I bought 3 solar-powered generators. I've already scheduled the installation team for on-site setup. I can't let them see the stockpile in my room, so I had to rent the adjacent space. The 5th floor is terrible. We're the only ones living on this entire level. I managed to rent out this floor with surprising ease. The property guy even looked at me and advised, "Your dad's gone, you're on your own now, don't waste this money, save it for your college education." I know he took pity on me and meant well. I could only nod in agreement and casually reminded him, "Bro, it's getting hotter these days, maybe take a few more days to rest at home." That's all I could say to remind him. After finishing all these tasks, I scheduled an appointment for the soundproof panel installers to come. When the time comes and every household loses power, with only my solar generator working, it's bound to raise suspicions, for I can only minimize the danger to the greatest extent possible. By the time everything is nearly done, the temperature will have already reached 40 degrees. All high-altitude workers have already been given time off. The internet is flooded with high-temperature warnings. I know, by noon tomorrow, the temperature will rise to 55 degrees. At that point, going outside will be completely impossible. Today is my last remaining time. I went out again, this time to the hardware store to buy knives, axes, hammers, and saws, tools to protect myself. If the doors and windows are breached, these will be my last line of defense. I also bought seeds, diesel, and other supplies. I can't go outside, so these will help supplement my vitamins. Continue to order various cold medicines and sanitary pads online. I've already prepared for 30 years of high temperatures. At 10 a.m. the next day, I went to the supermarket again and bought 1,000 ice pops and ice cube trays. 11 a.m. at noon, there aren't many people outside anymore, and the temperature has already reached 45 degrees. At 11:30 in the morning, I bought fruit seeds and soil again at the flower and bird market. It took me 10 minutes to get home on time. Take all these things home. After returning home, I locked all the doors and windows and had already replaced the curtains with blackout ones. There's absolutely no way to see inside from outside, and the curtains are drawn. Noon at 12 o'clock, I turned on my phone, and CCTV was broadcasting on schedule about the current situation where temperatures have reached 60 degrees Celsius, advising the public not to go outside and to wait for rescue. I calmly turned off the TV, standing at the door. The scorching heat outside has now reached temperatures unbearable for humans these days. I eat and sleep at home, sleep and eat. The current weather forecast system has collapsed, but looking at the slowly rising heat from the ground, the temperature is only higher than before, not lower. This morning I woke up from the heat, meaning the power had already been cut off around here. Fortunately, the solar generator I bought came in handy. It's scorching hot outside like a steamer, but I'm doing all right inside the house. I sighed and turned back to my room. The phone rang, and I answered the call. My sister's excited voice came through. "Sister, just obediently wait for death. From now on, your life will be mine." She was still immersed in the fantasy that she could become a little princess in the high-temperature apocalypse. I sneered. "I advise you to escape as early as possible tonight, only because she's my sister." I'd like to give her a final piece of advice. Neither my stepfather nor my mother were far-sighted people. The household supplies must have been completely exhausted by now. If she doesn't leave tonight, today will be her last day. Thinking of what happened in my past life, I clutched tightly in my hands until my fingers turned white. I will never forget, and I will definitely make those scumbags pay the price. My sister sneered coldly. "You're just jealous of me. Let me tell you, from now on we'll be people from 2 different worlds." She hung up the phone directly. I think my younger sister is really quite foolish. Given a second chance at life, all she thinks about is how to rely on others rather than herself. I have no idea what's going through her mind. I took out my phone and opened the surveillance video. No one knows. On the day my sister came to see me, I installed surveillance on the bracelet she always wore on her wrist. Right now, 2 strange men have already arrived at my stepfather's house. He asked his younger sister to go out and greet them. But the younger sister was completely absorbed in her dream of soon becoming a little princess and was throwing a tantrum. The stepfather directly slapped her. The younger sister couldn't believe it and went to complain to her mother. Mom simply didn't care about her. In the end, the younger sister could only force a smile and go out to greet the 2 men. The 2 men brought 2 boxes of water and 2 princess dresses. Smiling, They pulled the younger sister to sit between them. His lecherous gaze kept wandering over his sister's body. Though visibly disgusted, the sister endured it without pulling away. Today, Mom dressed her up beautifully. She wore a pink princess dress, a lace-trimmed crown on her head, and a pearl necklace around her neck. Two slender legs were exposed, with delicate pale feet adorned by silver-white stiletto heels at the ankles. The entire figure resembled an ethereal fairy tale creature come to life. One of them acted roughly, pinning the younger sister down on the sofa. Terrified, the younger sister struggled desperately, only to receive a slap across her face. She kept screaming for help, begging her stepfather and mother to save her, but no one came. After it was over, my younger sister sat on the sofa like a dazed wooden puppet. The two men looked thoroughly satisfied and even gave our parents 20,000 yuan, 5. Mom walked over to Juno, took her hand and said, "Juno, be good. Mom and Dad are doing this for your own good." Juno's eyes were empty as she stared at her mother without speaking. The stepfather finally revealed his true colors. "Do you think I've been feeding and housing you for nothing? If you offend my guests, I won't let you off easy. There are plenty of dead people outside. I don't think you want to see that." With those words, the stepfather took Mom's hand and left immediately. The younger sister numbly returned to her room. The next second, my phone rang. I answered the phone and heard her gritted voice. "So you knew all along, didn't you?" I chuckled lightly. "Little sister, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Wasn't it your own choice to go enjoy the good life? What's wrong? Can't take it anymore." Watching her furious face on the surveillance screen, plus today's miserable experience, she wouldn't speak out about these things. I heard her voice becoming arrogant again. "I just want to tell you, I'm living very well. My parents treat me like a treasure." I didn't say anything. She seemed to have caught my weak spot. She said smugly, "Are you worrying about what to eat tonight? After all, we're sisters. If you beg me like a dog, I might spare you some food." My silence swept away all her gloom from the entire day. Sigh, what a real shame. Even if you die in this lifetime, you'll never reach my social class. You can only look at me with envy. I opened a bottle of mineral water and drank it with loud gulps. My life is just fine, no need for sister to worry. She understood better than I did how crucial a single bottle of water could be. In my past life, I appeared glamorous on the surface, able to bathe every day. It was all just to deliver me to one different bed after another, but when it came to food and water, they adhered to the principle of mere survival. "You absolutely shouldn't drink water in such big gulps." I saw my sister swallowing hard, then turned around and hung up the phone directly. Another 10 days passed. Most of the stockpiled food at everyone's homes had already been consumed. Some people have already come out to search for supplies. The 60-degree heat was never something ordinary people could endure. Most people died from the heat along the way. I watched all this from the window, my heart filled with sorrow. But I'm just an ordinary person. Beyond protecting myself, I can't really help anyone. Unexpectedly, a fleeting flash of light dazzled my eyes. Frowning as I looked downward, to my surprise, my younger sister, mother, and stepfather all appeared downstairs. The glass I installed allows me to see outside, but others can't see inside. I clenched my fists tightly, wondering how they dared to come here despite the extreme heat. I didn't dare to go out recklessly, because I was afraid of being detected by them. Soon the three of them were standing outside my door, incessantly knocking on it. Through the surveillance camera, I saw the three of them drenched in sweat. "Are you sure she's really at home?" my stepfather asked. The younger sister nodded firmly. "Dad, believe me, she bought a lot of things and is just staying at home now. If only we could get in." I watched the surveillance footage. I was so careful back then. How did she know about my supplies? The phone rang. I took a deep breath, turned off the phone sound directly, and ignored it. My sister's message came in quickly. "I know you're fine, just staying at home. Let us in now. Open the door now." Her words carried a strong tone of command. She seemed particularly certain that I was home. Holding my breath, I walked to the door. Mom hesitated and looked at my sister. "Are you sure nothing really happened to her?" My sister nodded earnestly. "Mom, I remember I installed surveillance on her before. Now I can confirm she's safe at home. And there's plenty of stuff at home too." My heart skipped a beat. I never expected my sister had installed surveillance on me too. My younger sister pulled out a hammer from behind her back. "We must make her open the door, otherwise we have no way out. My door is reinforced." They were sweating profusely, but the door remained unmoved. My sister took out her phone and pointed it at her own face. Since you won't come out, don't blame me for what happens next. She plopped down on the ground, covering her face and sobbing, Sister, we're blood sisters, and Mom is your biological mother too. How can you be so selfish? I know you have lots of supplies in your room, just let us in, don't blame me for this. Her voice was very loud. Someone upstairs has already leaned out to locate the source of the noise. 6. I know, if we let her keep making such a racket, more and more people will surely gather at our doorstep. Whether the door can withstand so many people remains to be seen. With a cold expression, I called her, I'll let you in, but delete the video. My sister's voice was full of smugness. Let us in, I need to see your sincerity. I suppose you wouldn't want to share all these supplies with others. She is threatening me, but at this moment, I have no other choice. I took a deep breath. The house next door is also mine, you can stay there first. And I'll provide you with 1 meal and 2 bottles of water each day. If you refuse, I won't hesitate to fight to the death with you. Let me open the door and let them in. That's absolutely impossible. I need to keep them calm first. The video must never be released, otherwise I can't guarantee my own safety. In the end, they compromised. After all, with me as their long-term meal ticket, they were willing. I used a drone to deliver today's water and meals to them. I must resolve this matter quickly. My younger sister called me at night, her voice cautious. Sis, I'm sorry about what happened today, but Mom and Dad threatened me. They said they'd kill me if I didn't bring them to you. I didn't want to do it. Sis, please forgive me. Hearing her submissive words, I was deeply moved. Little sister, we're family after all. We should help each other. There wasn't the slightest change in the expression on my face. I won't let them become a threat to me. My sister's show of weakness this time might be my last chance. My sister asked incredulously, Really, sister, is this true? I nodded heavily. Of course it's true. In my past life, I wanted to bring you to live with me, but I was afraid you'd end up living the same kind of life as me. Actually, in this lifetime I've prepared plenty of supplies. Just waiting for you to come live with me. My sister's voice carried urgency. Sister, can I come over today then? I pretended to look scared. No, little sister, I'm truly heartbroken. I don't know whether you're on their side or mine. She seemed somewhat impatient. Sister, just open the door and let me in. I'm genuinely worried about you. I've always cared about you. As she spoke, she began to cry. I know she's a good actress, but I'm not buying it. The most terrifying thing in this world is women. I curled my lips. Little sister, I don't like our stepfather. If you take care of him for me, I'd like to see your sincerity. How about that? My sister remained silent, so I hung up the phone directly. She's an exceptionally selfish person. I knew exactly what choice she would make. Just as expected, the next day, I saw my stepfather dead in the surveillance footage. Mom screamed, while my sister looked utterly impatient. He's just a man. What's the big deal? Mom stared at my sister in fear. I knew she was ruthless, but I never expected her to act so swiftly. My younger sister called me in the evening. Sister, I've completed what you asked. I just wanted to prove to you that you're the only sister in my heart. Touched, I opened the door. Little sister, come in quickly. After she entered the house, I was especially happy and took her around to show her everything. Little sister, look how well I've renovated our home. We have enough food here to last us over 30 years. We can stay home forever, I excitedly explained to her. I didn't overlook the fleeting greed in her eyes. My sister stayed with me today. During these past few days, I haven't given any food to the mother next door, only a little water to keep her alive. At night, my sister quietly got up from beside me. She walked to the door and was about to open it when I came up behind her and punched the back of her head. Then I threw her to the second door and placed 5 bottles of water by the entrance. After that, I opened the outermost door. The 10 beggars waiting outside could no longer restrain themselves. They swarmed in like a hive of bees, brandishing knives to seize the water. My sister was pinned to the ground as they tore at her clothes. My sister regained consciousness. She screamed frantically, but no one could save her. The tragedy lasted until the next morning, after everyone left. Mother came out of the room. 7. The younger sister looks at her mother. Mom, save me, please save me. The mother holds a knife and walks toward her expressionlessly. Why did you treat your uncle like this? Why did you kill him? Mom has always been a love-struck romantic. Just tell her about how the younger sister killed the stepfather. The younger sister struggled desperately. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was that bitch. A slap landed on the younger sister's cheek. The younger sister's mouth was bleeding. She raised the knife and lunged at her younger sister. You should have died. You should have died. I'll make you pay in blood. The younger sister's strength had long been exhausted, and she was pushed to the ground by her mother. Mother took a knife and carved numerous wounds on her body. The younger sister cried and begged for mercy. In the end, blood stained the entire stairwell red. After the younger sister breathed her last, Mother committed suicide beside her. A crimson haze filled my vision, yet my heart remained utterly unmoved. Had I not installed surveillance on my sister, I would never have discovered her vicious scheme: lure the nearby beggars to come, use my supplies to lure them into defiling me, make me experience the same things she did. I didn't feel the slightest bit moved. Stay high up in my own home. 2 years later, hearing the announcement outside, after 2 years, we've overcome the extreme heat. Things will only get better from here. I curled the corners of my lips and opened the curtains. I've finally survived this scorching apocalypse. Story 2. In my past life, due to a lack of vigilance against a scumbag, both my best friend and I were pushed out the door and devoured by zombies. All the hard-earned supplies we had stockpiled ended up benefiting that scumbag and his female classmate. Thankfully, I've been given a second chance at life. This time around, we won't be so trusting. We're avoiding the naive, saintly acts and steering clear of jerks. Together with my best friend, we'll stock up on supplies and live well, because surviving to the end is the ultimate goal. 1. Zombie outbreak. I suddenly sat up in the darkness, gasping for air, my hands instinctively covering my neck where the pain of being bitten lingered, continuing to torment my nerves. But more profound than the pain was a sense of anger and despair in my heart. At the outset of the zombie virus, I had an inkling that things were amiss, and leveraging the traditional hoarding instincts in my bloodline, I convinced my best friend to stock up on some essentials. Eventually, the zombies did break out, but we only survived 5 days, all thanks to my best friend's worthless boyfriend, Robin. When I persuaded her to stock up, I also warned him to do the same. He didn't listen, which was fine since everyone has their own opinions. However, not only did he not help, he also ridiculed us, calling us backward and cowardly. Later, when the outbreak occurred, he shamelessly asked to take refuge with us. My best friend hurried over to consult with me. I was annoyed, but seeing how nervous and happy she was, I agreed. After all, she was deeply in love with him, always anxious about his well-being. But when we gathered the courage to go downstairs to let him in, we found he had brought another girl. He claimed that when the outbreak happened, his female classmate was at his place catching up, and they got stranded together. The audacity! He was blatantly taking advantage of my best friend's innocence and deep feelings for him. What kind of catching up leads to staying over at his place? Why didn't he mention having a female classmate over all these days before? Now, he just brings her along, planning to present us with a fait accompli, all while they were clinging to each other right in front of us. Damn that scumbag! I was furious, wishing I could throw them out to the zombies, but reason held me back. The door was already open, and they wouldn't just turn around and leave because we were unhappy. If it escalated, it might attract zombies and we could die even quicker. My best friend forced a smile and stepped aside to let them in, but that girl was still whining at the door, clinging to my best friend. Seriously, use your brain, zombies could be nearby, and this is no way to seek death. Sure enough, the noise attracted nearby zombies. They were incredibly fast, and by the time we tried to shut the door, they were nearly upon us. In the chaos and screaming, I saw with my own eyes as my best friend got pushed out the door by that scumbag while trying to close it. She stumbled and fell. I didn't even have time to get angry. I just wanted to pull her back in, but then, a strong force pushed me out too, and the door slammed shut behind me. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. I turned around only to see them, without a trace of guilt but a twisted smile of post-disaster relief, as they firmly shut the door in my face. It was at that moment I realized how terrifying human nature could be and how misplaced kindness in an apocalypse could lead to dire consequences. We paid a heavy price for it, unable to bear seeing them die. I watched helplessly as zombies tore my best friend apart, and then it was my turn. It was my first direct encounter with a zombie, and the memory still causes me to shudder with fear. Their eyes were devoid of whites, just pitch-black orbs reflecting my terrified expression. Their skin, a sickly gray, was covered in black and purple necrotic wounds, and they emitted a nauseating stench. I was knocked to the ground, their long, black nails slicing through my skin like blades and embedding into my flesh, their sharp fangs gnawing at my neck. The intense pain and the blood surging through my body forced me to close my eyes in despair. 2. Rebirth. My heart was still pounding violently, my hair damp and sticking to my face. I shook my head, trying to clear the bloody images from my mind, my hands trembling as I picked up my phone to check the time. It was still 10 days before the zombie outbreak. I had been reborn. Calming myself, I rushed to my best friend's room and found her still sound asleep, though her brow was furrowed in discomfort. I breathed a sigh of relief and couldn't help but cry tears of joy. It was such a relief that we were both still alive. My best friend woke up, rubbing her head and looking at me as I cried. "What's wrong? What's wrong?" she asked. "What happened?" After hearing about the zombies and the resurrection, she hugged me in a daze for a long time. I knew she trusted me completely, but she couldn't accept that her deeply loved boyfriend was such a person. My best friend is a very sincere and pure person, and her whole family is extremely kind. 10 years ago, her parents found me fainting alone by the roadside, saved me, and have taken extra care of me ever since. I am very grateful to them, and through them, I met their daughter. After spending time together, she and I became best friends. However, 3 years ago, this kind-hearted couple died in a plane crash. After their death, their relatives gradually revealed their true, ugly intentions, trying by all means to take over the compensation money meant for my friend. She was totally unable to cope, and that was the darkest year of our lives. Eventually, I helped my friend establish clear boundaries with her relatives, and from that point on, it was just the two of us supporting each other. She met the scoundrel Robin a year ago, when she was still not over the loss of her parents. Initially, Robin pursued her persistently, caring for her in every possible way. He would drive long distances to buy her favorite desserts when she was working late, giving her a great sense of security. They naturally ended up together, and I was grateful that someone was there to help my friend revive her spirits and live well again. But as my friend's love grew deeper, Robin began to blow hot and cold, and frequently put her down. Each time, my friend would endlessly reflect and blame herself, wondering if she was doing something wrong to make him dislike her. I tried advising and scolding her. She realized something was off too, but emotions aren't easily controlled, especially since Robin had given her such ardent love and security when she was most vulnerable. She couldn't let go. But now, having paid a life-threatening price to see Robin's true colors, I absolutely won't let us fall into such danger again. Fortunately, after daybreak, my friend gathered her spirits and decided to break up with him. While relieved, I firmly disagreed with her meeting him again. Who knows what such a frightening person might do, especially since the zombie outbreak was only 10 days away. We had more important things to focus on. My friend gave a bitter smile and said, "Don't worry, I can't meet him. He's gone on a business trip to the next city and won't be back for at least a week." I then remembered that at this time in the last life, he indeed wasn't in the city, so my friend sent him a breakup text, saying we had gone abroad for a vacation to clear our minds and wouldn't be back anytime soon, suggesting they should break up for good. Then she blocked all his contact methods. After doing all this, my friend and I looked at each other and smiled relievedly. How fortunate we were to start over amidst the apocalypse, especially with the most important person by our side, and even have a chance to prepare in advance. Spending time considering that despicable man is simply a waste of life, especially since it's uncertain whether he would survive once the zombies arrive. But we must survive well. 3. Inventory of assets. After washing up, we each took annual leave to start planning for survival in the apocalypse. First, we took an inventory of our assets. The most important was real estate. After my friend's parents passed away, their old house was demolished, and we bought our current apartment in the new economic development zone of the city where we work. We purchased the top floor of a high-rise building in an upscale community, a 130 square meter apartment with 2 bedrooms, a living room, and a balcony. Conveniently, my friend and I were neighbors, with just 1 apartment per floor, and we also owned the rooftop, since the new economic development zone was still under planning and was far from the city center. The occupancy rate here was not high, however. This also meant that when the zombies broke out, there were fewer here compared to the city center, allowing that scoundrel to bring his female classmate to our building. The only downside was that the scoundrel lived in this community too, in a building diagonally in front of ours. Fortunately, his being on a business trip wouldn't affect our plans. Next, we counted the money we had. I had over 300,000, and my friend had over 5 million, which should be enough for us to buy and stock up before the apocalypse. Additionally, since we both rarely drove, We only had a mini car for commuting and an SUV left by my friend's parents for fortifying the home. Since I had little money left after buying the apartment, I had only done basic renovations and was airing out the formaldehyde, usually staying at my friend's place. Now, it was the perfect time to fortify that apartment. Once the zombies broke out, we would move there, significantly increasing our security and giving us more space to store supplies. When discussing how to reinforce our apartment during the renovation, we pulled out the floor plans for a detailed study and realized that the secondary bedrooms of our two apartments were adjacent to each other. If they weren't load-bearing walls, we considered asking the renovation team to remove the wall between these secondary bedrooms. This way, we could access materials without even leaving our homes, significantly enhancing our safety. After concluding our research, we contacted the renovation team to replace the doors of both apartments with bulletproof security doors and to install reinforced privacy glass. We also decided to replace the doors to the stairwell and rooftop with the sturdiest available options. From past experiences, I knew that zombies are particularly sensitive to noise. Although no zombies reached the top floor in my previous life, to be safe, we decided to have the highest standard of soundproofing installed in my apartment to ensure our future safety and peace of mind. When the head of the renovation team arrived, we communicated our list of requirements to him. Initially, I thought of making up an excuse about having paranoid delusions due to nerve weakness if he found our requests odd. However, to our relief, he responded cheerfully, acknowledging that as two young women living alone, it was important to prioritize our safety. He agreed to use the most robust materials for our doors and windows and suggested adding a video doorbell and surveillance cameras, which we gladly accepted. However, he pondered a moment and then suggested that such high standards of soundproofing might not be necessary for residential use, which could save us some budget. My roommate quickly explained that she was a music student and often played loud instruments like the piano and drums, which could disturb the neighbors. Opting for higher soundproofing standards would prevent potential complaints. I had to mentally commend my roommate for her quick thinking. The contractor nodded in understanding and took note of these requirements. We then discussed our idea of connecting the secondary bedrooms of the two apartments. The contractor, unfazed, asked whether we intended to merge the two apartments into one or simply wanted easier access between them. After checking the walls and the rooms, he suggested installing a door between the secondary bedrooms instead, which would better preserve privacy and security. The contractor proved invaluable with his advice, helping us refine many aspects we hadn't thought of. He definitely deserved a positive review. Finally, and most importantly, we emphasized the need to complete the work within a week as we were planning to travel abroad soon. The contractor frowned slightly at the tight timeline but mentioned it was possible with additional fees to expedite the work by bringing in more workers. We agreed without hesitation. After finalizing the plans and paying the deposit, we accompanied the contractor to the property management office to file the necessary paperwork and successfully obtained renovation access. The contractor then hurried off to organize the work. After he left, we inquired with the property management about the residential status of our building, partly to ensure our renovations wouldn't disturb our neighbors, and also, in the event of a zombie outbreak, it would be beneficial to have more control over our surroundings and the people within it. We were informed that the two floors below us were unoccupied, so there was no need to worry excessively about noise. Although they were reticent to share more, it seemed our property management was quite keen on maintaining residents' privacy. After wrapping up these tasks, it was already 4 p.m. Just as we settled down to rest, my roommate suddenly jumped up from the couch, wondering if the apocalypse would cause the internet and electricity to go out. Good question. During the 5 days of the last outbreak, we didn't lose power or water, but who could say what might happen later? So, we quickly contacted the contractor again, asking him to install solar panels on the rooftop along with an open-air swimming pool, which would double as a water reservoir, and a water purification system. 5. Stockpiling supplies. Next, we focused on stockpiling supplies. My roommate's eyes lit up at the thought. What better way to ease worries than shopping? However, since the SUV hadn't been used in a while and it was already evening after finishing our renovation planning, we decided to postpone our shopping trip. After all, with 9 days left before the zombie outbreak, we had plenty of time to gather supplies. After a brief rest, we took the car for a tune-up and refuel. The mechanic, knowing we needed to transport renovation materials, even helped us by folding down the back seats to increase storage space, which was a nice touch. With the car ready, we spontaneously decided to unwind with a hot pot dinner to relax and plan to start transporting items discreetly under the guise of renovation from the next day to avoid drawing attention. No need to say more, the hot pot was delicious, and indeed, anything can be cooked in it. After a hearty meal and a bath, we lay on the bed, digesting while roughly listing our essential shopping items. Why just a rough list? Well, stockpiling is an instinct, isn't it? Why overthink it? According to my roommate, it was a natural skill. Once at the mall, could we really restrain our eager hearts? Moreover, we resolved to scour every major supermarket within a 30 kilometers radius, ensuring we'd gather all necessary supplies. To avoid a chaotic shopping frenzy, we prepared a simplified checklist in advance for electronics and appliances. Our list included refrigerators, freezers, solar water heaters, induction cookers, ovens, air fryers, air conditioners, fans, air purifiers, humidifiers, portable heaters, electric blankets, TVs, computers, tablets, projectors, cameras, gaming consoles, USB drives, power banks, and more. In terms of daily necessities, we noted down bedding items like thick quilts and mattress pads, pillows, cooling mats, summer quilts, and bedding sets. For clothing, we focused on underwear, all-season apparel, particularly windproof and warm clothes for winter, comfortable slippers, and convenient sneakers. Our list of toiletries and skincare products was extensive, including facial cleanser, toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, body lotion, essential oils, bath bombs, spray sanitizers, face masks, serums, and more. It's overwhelming. There are just too many products for girls. We might as well buy them directly from the store since missing one or two won't hurt. For hygiene products, we included trash bags, toilet paper, sanitary pads, towels, and a large cat litter box with litter. You know what I mean. The food category was packed with staples like rice, flour, oil, meat, seasonings, bottled water, canned goods, compressed biscuits, self-heating hot pots, milk, other beverages, and lots of snacks. In the medicine section, we listed cold and fever medications, gastrointestinal drugs, anti-inflammatory drugs, pain relievers, antibiotics, iodine swabs, alcohol, medical gauze, band-aids, thermometers, blood pressure monitors, and multivitamins. For safety, we added fire extinguishers, drones, binoculars, stun guns, and pepper spray to our list. After racking our brains and making several adjustments, we finally completed the checklist. My friend lay back on the bed, clutching her head, complaining about how mentally draining it was. I regretted not eating more meat during our hot pot dinner. I fully agreed with her. After a busy day, although the impending apocalypse weighed heavily on our minds, we quickly fell asleep, going shopping. Over the next 5 days, we headed out shopping early each morning as soon as the construction crew next door started their day. On the first day, we targeted the electronics area, securing refrigerators and freezers first to ensure proper storage. Since we were there, we also ordered air conditioners, ovens, and induction cookers, arranging for installation at home. Due to the volume of our purchases, the store gave us several supermarket discount coupons. We used these at the largest warehouse-style supermarket nearby, filling a whole car with rice, flour, oil, and bottled water. The experience was somewhat painful. Although store employees helped load our purchases, transporting them from the car to our home was a challenge. We borrowed a large cart from the construction workers and made 4 trips from the garage to our apartment, despite the elevator. The wait was crushing. We had planned to indulge in another hot pot meal today, given the deliciousness of yesterday's feast and knowing it might be a while before we could enjoy such luxuries again. But, alas, we should have eaten before moving everything. The next day, we planned to buy clothes and personal care products. Shopping for these items was much more enjoyable, and indeed, even the prospect of an apocalypse couldn't dampen our pursuit of beauty. My friend and I swept through the aisles, grabbing lotions, creams, serums, face masks, body lotions, and various makeup products like lipsticks and eyeshadows. While they might not be essential, having them around was pleasing, and practicing our makeup skills could be a fun pastime. We were more restrained with clothing and shoes, focusing on comfort and warmth for home and winter wear. After buying underwear, we headed to a nearby outlet mall which was bustling with people looking for off-season deals on winter clothing. We also picked out some sporty, windproof outfits to ensure ease of movement in case we needed to make a quick escape. Yes, I believe if we can't run, it's not because we lack skill but because our gear isn't up to par. On the way home, while my friend drove, I ordered a family medicine kit online. We also stopped by a pharmacy to pick up additional essentials like alcohol, bandages, and health supplements, honeysuckle granules, compound vitamins, fish oil, and brown sugar donkey hide gelatin. Though today was another full day, we still had the energy to enjoy a barbecue dinner, whether it was our mood or an improved recipe. The barbecue was exceptionally tender and juicy, leaving us nearly in tears. Later that night, inspired by our dinner, my friend ordered a grill, hot pot, slicer, and hydroponic vegetables online, perfectly embodying the principle that beauty and good food should never be compromised. On the third day, our goal was to fill our fridges and freezers. Early in the morning, we headed to the farmer's market, stocking up on pork, lamb, beef, squid, pig's feet, chicken feet, duck necks, duck spines, ribs, fish, and various dried goods like mushrooms, wood ear mushrooms, kelp, goji berries, longan, peppers, chili peppers, as well as hot pot base materials, dobanjiang, fermented bean paste, barbecue seasonings, salt, and common spices. After 2 trips, we stuffed 4 fridges and freezers full. I think with our eating habits, this stash might last us 2 years, but who could ever have too much delicious food? After a restful lunch, we headed to the supermarket again, aisle by aisle, chips, cookies, marinated snacks, jellies, chocolate, tea bags, bread, sausages, dried fruits, nuts, instant noodles, self-heating rice meals, and self-heating hot pots filled our carts. And we snatched up all sorts of quirky snacks. Don't ask why, just chalk it up to a casual company team-building spree. Today, we hit a barbecue food stall, but this time it wasn't just about eating. We had a mission. While devouring lamb skewers, we kept our eyes peeled and sure enough, saw a beverage delivery truck approach. As soon as the driver finished unloading, we rushed to catch the delivery guy, explaining that our small company was having its first team-building event and wanted to buy some drinks and water in bulk. The friendly man quickly agreed to at least a half-truck order, asking us to send him the details and offering to work overtime for a little extra charge to deliver it to our specified location that evening. Nice. We ended up booking a whole truck filled with various juices, sodas, and mineral water. Ha! Mission accomplished. Now we could enjoy our barbecue worry-free. After setting up a delivery time with the man, we indulged in a massive feast without any guilt, considering the intense amount of exercise we had been getting over the past few days. There was no fear of gaining weight. I must say, the lamb skewers were delicious, and the crayfish were superb, although the shells were a bit tough to peel. A little critique for the crayfish for not being accommodating enough. Before wrapping up, we added some vegetables for a good mix of meat and greens, healthy and balanced. On the 4th day, sticking to our principle of balancing work and leisure, we decided to shop for toiletries and home textiles, which shouldn't be too tiring, right? Yes, definitely. At least it wouldn't take all day. We switched to another supermarket and continued our spree, although primarily there for toiletries. We couldn't help but grab some instant hot pots and various instant noodles in the fast food section. More is better, after all. That was when I first learned that things like sanitary pads and toilet paper could be bought in bulk at a discount, so naturally, we stocked up on several boxes. Buying comforters was an expert task for my friend who is always cold. Knowing her way around, we headed straight to a cotton mill, furiously purchasing 4 heavy, high-quality cotton winter quilts that were fluffy and warm. They were perfect, though not quite suitable for summer. Just loading them into the car made us sweat profusely, but it was worth it. Next, we went to a home textile store for cooler bedding like mats, summer quilts, and duvets. The salesperson, seeing how much we were buying, pitched us a silk 4-piece bedding set, which was incredibly smooth. I felt like we might end up glued to the bed because of it. Additionally, today we ate seafood. Buying the comforters made us so hot that we craved something light and fresh. Initially, the heat had dampened our appetite, but the seafood was just irresistibly delicious and fresh. Oh, it was so good. I can hardly imagine living without these delights, I thought as I tearfully devoured 2 large bowls. On the 5th day, ever since coming back, my friend and I have been sharing a bedroom, and slowly but surely, other places in the house have become increasingly cluttered. It seemed like we had stockpiled enough supplies. Looking at the overflowing supplies We managed to organize and inventory everything, though it was overwhelming. Feeling we still didn't have enough water, we contacted a nearby water station and ordered 20 jugs of purified water, and also purchased 2 gas stoves and 4 gas cylinders. Alright, now the house was truly cluttered, but in a good way. After finishing up, we headed to the tech market, buying 3 drones, 4 telescopes of different magnifications, infrared cameras, night vision cameras, and large capacity memory cards. While buying tablets and gaming consoles, we had the clerk download lots of TV shows and games for us. We also picked out a few game discs and controllers for future entertainment. Additionally, I discovered a standalone smart fitness mirror in the store, which was perfect, considering daily exercise is essential. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be able to run. Wandering further, we arrived at a sports equipment store, stocking up on yoga mats, yoga balls, stretch bands, yoga clothing, sports bras, and other gear. If we're going to exercise, we need to have all the right gear. After all, it's about getting our attitude right. After all, underachievers tend to have a lot of stationery. How could we exercise without buying these things? What? An exercise bike? No, we're not buying one. There's still a treadmill at home, now piled high with packages. What? An exercise bike that generates power when you ride it. Both my friend and I were instantly thrilled by the idea. That's definitely a possibility. We also thought about buying some self-defense items, and the enthusiastic shop owner recommended a variety of items to us, including nunchucks, pepper spray, stun guns, distance self-defense weapons, blinding flashlights, and personal alarm devices. Wow, we felt incredibly safe. And it was another day of returning home loaded with purchases. 7. The last safe moments. Once home, we sprawled on the sofa, our bellies filled with milk tea, skewers, fried chicken, and spicy hot pot, surrounded by our ample supplies, which somewhat eased our lingering unease. There were still 4 days until the zombie outbreak, but news of a new virus would break in 2 days, meaning our safe time was running out. Fortunately, the reinforcement work on the neighboring house was nearing completion due to the relentless efforts of the workers, and the person in charge informed us that it would be finished by tomorrow. This was a day earlier than anticipated, giving us an extra day to prepare, and we were again very impressed with the workers. The next morning, while we were still lazing in bed, the workers completed their final cleanup and came to notify us that it was time for inspection. To avoid disrupting our daily lives, the doors and windows of our current residence, as well as the door to the secondary bedroom, had been taken care of on the first day of renovation. The main focus of this inspection was to check the reinforcements in the neighboring house and the solar-powered swimming pool on the rooftop. Everything was done according to our specifications, truly living up to the reputation of this highly rated, gold medal renovation company. Although expensive, it was truly worth it. After settling the bill with the renovation team, we headed to the furniture market. First, we picked out a large bed. After all, neither of us dared to sleep alone now. And once the zombies emerged, we definitely wouldn't want to be apart. A bigger bed would be more comfortable, otherwise one of us would always end up on the edge. My friend also insisted on choosing an ergonomic sofa set with a matching carpet. Okay, ergonomics really do offer incredible comfort. Once you sit down, you don't want to get up. Technology is amazing, but oh, it's really expensive. Sorry, money. We also bought 2 tables, a dining table and a desk, and were captivated by a large vanity table, perfect for makeup, a must-have. Lastly, we bought several freestanding bookshelves to use as storage racks, making it easier for us to organize and store our supplies. By the time these items were moved into our new home, it was already dark. We had a simple dinner nearby in the neighborhood, boiled fish slices with cold noodles. Nice, especially after finishing the fish. Using the broth to cook some noodles brought a carb-filled joy that was truly satisfying. We treasured every bite of food. After returning home, my friend and I reviewed our timeline. Tomorrow, with only 3 days left, around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, news of the new virus would be released online. However, it wouldn't attract much attention. In our past life, it was after seeing this news that we felt something was off and took advantage of a calm day to stock up on food with my friend. On the day before the countdown ended, zombies would appear on the streets causing riots, followed by widespread chaos. People would rapidly get infected and mutate. Within just a day, the zombie outbreak would be uncontrollable. After going through all this, we both fell silent. As our supplies and equipment grew, our chances of surviving safely increased. but as the time drew nearer, my anxiety grew. As if the suppressed fears and sadness were gradually resurfacing these past few days. Due to continuous high-intensity activities, I hadn't had the time or energy to think about the zombies, but now, suddenly idle, I couldn't help but think that somewhere in the world, the zombie outbreak might have already started. The scenes of people dying replayed over and over in my mind, and I saw more and more people being bitten by zombies, collapsing in pain, twisting on the ground, then turning into zombies themselves, turning the whole world into a kind of hell. What's scarier is knowing that all this will soon become reality, but not knowing what I can do about it. I'm even more afraid that if others find out, we still won't escape being bitten. Our biggest problem now is lack of combat strength. We can survive by keeping low, but if we're targeted, that's a problem. Having died horribly in a past life, we now can't trust anyone but each other, especially since that scumbag is supposed to be returning from a business trip soon. We absolutely can't let him get close again. After much consideration, we decided to go out one last time tomorrow morning. After that, we decided to just stay at home and not go out anymore. We all had a restless night, tossing and turning, unable to sleep. With only 3 days left in the countdown and sleep eluding us, we got up early in the morning, headed out to buy some fresh vegetables and fruits, and then visited various small supermarkets to purchase 2 packs of mineral water from each, totaling 20 packs. After that, we stopped by a bookstore to pick up some food for thought. I realized my friend was right. What better way to ease worries than to indulge in some shopping, having stocked up on supplies? We felt much more relaxed and decided to treat ourselves to one last lavish buffet before heading home to hunker down. We just couldn't bear to give up anything. Seafood, barbecue, hot pot, steak, desserts. How could there be so many delicious things in the world? It was a meal filled with both tears and laughter as we savored each bite. By the time we got home, it was already the afternoon. My friend and I chatted absent-mindedly while frequently checking the news. At 3:28 p.m., a report quietly appeared. A new virus has emerged at XX hospital, patients showing symptoms similar to rabies. With immense strength and whitened eyes, experts are currently investigating. My friend and I looked at each other, a sense of dread settling in. It was happening. Perhaps seeing the distress on my face, my friend took my hand and said, "We can't easily change the fact that a zombie outbreak is happening, without the power to do much else. Our first priority must be to protect ourselves. Only then, under safe circumstances, should we consider helping others. Otherwise, it's just a pointless sacrifice. No matter what, we'll face this together." I took a deep breath. The last time was dreadful enough. I really didn't want to go through that again, but we couldn't just do nothing. After much deliberation, we decided to split up and take action. I wrote to the hospital where the virus was discovered and to the disease control center to warn them about the virus's high infectivity and rapid mutation and to urge them to take protective measures and control the situation early. My friend, meanwhile, surfed the internet, leaving comments like, "This new virus sounds terrifying, kind of like something out of a sci-fi movie. Looks like we need to stock up on food." Of course, we kept it anonymous and didn't dare say too much, lest the authorities come knocking before the outbreak even began. We couldn't afford to get caught for spreading rumors after having stocked up so much. Hopefully, our efforts would be somewhat useful. At the very least, those who saw our messages would be psychologically prepared and not caught off guard, facing a sudden, inexplicable demise. Many netizens were also discussing apocalypse movies and zombie viruses, which hopefully meant they would take it seriously and stock up on supplies with their families. Admittedly, we overate at lunch, but by evening, we felt emptily hollow again. True to form, we ended up making a pot of mung bean, lotus seed, and lily bulb porridge to soothe our stomachs. We had planned to organize our stuff, but we were too tired. We decided to leave it until tomorrow. With only 2 days left in the countdown and no need to go out, we didn't set an alarm, thinking our biological clocks wouldn't let us sleep in too late after so many days of getting up early. However, we ended up waking up groggily at noon, exhausted from all the running around these past few days. Checking our phones, the internet seemed calm, with no mention of the new virus in the trending searches, but we knew that beneath this calm, a huge crisis was lurking. Just one more day of peace before the zombie outbreak. We hurriedly moved to a new house, taking all our essential belongings and meticulously organizing the remaining supplies. A major undertaking. The anxiety of idleness was overwhelming, so we kept busy until late into the night, Indeed, the greater the pressure, the greater our drive to act. We managed to roughly get the house in order. The previous apartment where my friend lived was now just locked up, with all windows and doors shut and the curtains drawn, serving as a storage room in our new place. The master bedroom had a vanity for skincare routines before bed, and the second bedroom served as a study, adjacent to the master bedroom, both with bay windows through which we could observe the situation in the apartment complex below. We placed a telescope by each window for better observation. The living room was more of a leisure space, with carpets that were soft and quiet to walk on, and an ergonomic sofa facing a curved large-screen display that was connected to a gaming console and a dance machine. On either side of the display stood hydroponic glass tanks my friend had bought. We planned to cultivate some vegetables and small fruits in a few days. By then, the lush greenery was soothing to the eyes. Near the balcony, there was a treadmill, an electricity-generating exercise bike, and a fitness mirror. From the balcony, you could see the villa area of our community. And beyond that, an undeveloped woodland. We also set up a telescope there. Observing the outside was no issue. Living high up, I figured it would be difficult for anyone outside to spot us. I was worried and discussed with my best friend what to do next, only to be reminded by her that we had installed privacy windows. I laughed at how easily I forget when I'm nervous. However, my friend agreed that my concerns were valid. In any case, every window was equipped with screens and blackout curtains. We would draw the screens during the day and the curtains at night when the lights were on. No worries. The kitchen and dining area didn't need much explanation. 2 large refrigerators, 2 freezers, and a storage rack piled high with food. At the entrance, the vertical shoe cabinet didn't hold shoes but self-defense weapons we had purchased. On the storage rack, there were 2 inconspicuous yet powerful flashlights. And by the door stood an easily accessible stun baton. Looking around, despite the imminent crisis, we felt empowered and incredibly safe. Moreover, the bed was so comfortable that 2 people could toss and turn freely. The dolls that had been neglected for days were finally back on the bed. Good night, outbreak. With 1 day left, after brunch, my friend repeatedly cleaned while I organized the books we bought. We weren't being industrious but rather too anxious to sit still. On the surface, we were tidying up, but in reality, our phones were glued to our hands, checking for updates online every few minutes. This distracted state lasted until 2:37 p.m. After a morning of tension, we were resting on the sofa when a headline rapidly climbed to the top of the trending searches. Suspected rabies patient biting people on the street. We immediately sat up in alarm to check the news. The photo that appeared showed a bloodied person lying in a pool of blood on a commercial street downtown, with another person in a twisted pose rushing forward nearby amidst a chaotic crowd. The image of my friend and me being mauled flashed through my mind. Zombies had arrived. Turning around, my friend's face was pale with fright. Although I had told her about the gruesome deaths from zombie bites, seeing such a gory scene was still hard to stomach. We comforted each other. It's okay, we're together, and we're all right. Ignoring the further details, I hurriedly locked the doors to the stairwell and the rooftop, installed door jams, and checked the elevators, which required a floor-specific card to access. So we left them be for the moment. Then, we double-checked all the doors, windows, and curtains in the house. After securing everything, we managed to calm down enough to return to the sofa and continue monitoring the situation. Videos of zombie attacks were increasingly being posted online from different regions and countries. Authorities issued emergency announcements urging people not to panic, avoid gatherings, and stay home to await rescue. However, videos shared by netizens showed overcrowded supermarkets and malls where frantic shopping and even severe stampedes occurred. Chaos reigned online and in the real world alike, with a pervasive atmosphere of fear engulfing the globe. My friend hesitated, saying, with so many people crowded together, it would be a disaster if someone were infected. Indeed, it would be. After a night of chaos and escalation, the zombie outbreak had fully erupted. Videos posted online showed that the city center's streets were swarming with zombies, a suffocating sight. Our community too had zombie squads roaming, with blood and debris everywhere. Without needing the telescope, we could see zombies downstairs chasing and attacking normal people, their screams and roars reaching our ears. Through the telescope, we saw twisted figures of zombies in the corridors opposite and in the nearby villa area, some newly mutated clutching their heads in struggle, others frantically banging against doors and walls. There were even children and infants among the zombies. The eerie sight sent chills down one's spine at just a glance. The online comments had exploded, with pleas for help everywhere. Some people were saying their neighbors had been infected, turning into zombies now roaming the stairwells. Just now, the person posting had accidentally made a noise, and they began frantically banging on the door. It was terrifying. They pleaded for help. Others mentioned that due to their busy work schedules, they had no food at home and were facing a dire shortage from the very first day. There were also those seeking help because a family member had been infected, but they didn't want to give up. They had tied the person to a bed and were asking if there was any way to treat or calm them. Some advised them to find a place to hide and protect themselves immediately, warning that the infected could lose their sanity and become violent at any moment. Others suggested they should take the opportunity to end it, to remove the threat to society, believing the afflicted would prefer death if they were aware. The discussion turned heated, and the person posting never replied again. The authorities issued another announcement, urging people to ensure their safety, stay indoors, and wait for rescue. We gave up observing. One person cuddled with a pillow on the sofa, finding solace in each other's company in the face of the apocalypse, where all words seemed hollow. We could only be grateful that the most important people were still by our side, thankful that we were well prepared, and hopeful that we could survive this ordeal. After 2 days of turmoil, the internet completely collapsed, rendering all messaging apps unusable. However, I realized that the internet really fuels anxiety, especially when you feel powerless, and the more you read, the more negative information you gather, the easier it is to be swayed by extreme opinions into a pit of despair. Fortunately, we were barely able to ignore the chaos outside and pull the curtains to live our lives in peace. Electricity and water hadn't been cut off yet, and as long as we stayed home and didn't wander, we could really keep living well, especially in a home like ours, well stocked with supplies. No need to wake up early anymore. We could sleep in and enjoy a breakfast of fried eggs, steak, fruit and vegetable salad, paired with steamed buns, bread, milk with cereal, juice, or porridge cooked the night before. We didn't eat much in the morning, and these foods were convenient and nutritious, perfect for us who love to eat but are a bit lazy. For lunch, we could cook ribs, braised pork, spicy hot pot, or clay pot rice. We had downloaded a complete cookbook on our tablet and planned to try recipes slowly. If we didn't feel like cooking, we could eat instant meals like self-heating pots, spicy noodle skins, mixed noodles, and turkey noodles, which were tasty and easy to prepare, though not the healthiest. For dinner, we stuck to making porridge to nourish our bodies, mixing ingredients like red beans, barley, lilies, lotus seeds, green beans, black rice, millet, and corn at will, healthy for the stomach. But of course, we were careful not to waste food. In our free time, we cuddled on the sofa listening to music, watching dramas, variety shows, or playing video games together, experimenting with makeup. With plenty of snacks available, our days were blissfully carefree, and we hadn't leisurely spent so much time together in years. At night, we would pamper ourselves with a bath bomb, apply face masks for an at-home SPA, and if we couldn't sleep, we'd lie in bed, chatting and sharing our thoughts. By embracing a laid-back lifestyle, we found comfort. We couldn't confront the zombies or help others, but we could cherish life and treat each day with the seriousness it deserved, not taking our hard-earned life for granted, relaxing completely. My best friend and I became hooked on video games, especially those requiring two-player cooperation. These past few days, apart from eating and sleeping, we spent most of our time sitting on the carpet, each with a controller, playing Overcooked, from initially fumbling and often burning our dishes. We had now achieved perfect synchrony and cooperation. Just as we were about to succeed in our game, a faint sound of the doorbell stopped my heartbeat. I nearly snapped the controller in my hand, turning to look at my best friend who also stiffened, then quickly threw down her controller and clutched my arm, clearly hearing it too. Then came 2 more doorbell rings, accompanied by knocks, proving it wasn't our imagination. The good news was that the knocking wasn't at our door, but at the neighbors. The bad news, oh, the horror, the neighbors were us. My best friend tremblingly said, "Are zombies now evolved enough to ring doorbells?" I couldn't help but grimace and actually pondered for a moment. No, that seemed unlikely, but if it were actually a person, that might be even more terrifying. We carefully supported each other and walked to the door, each of us armed with 2 self-defense tools. Looking through the peephole camera, we saw a girl squatting at the stairwell across from our apartment. At the sight of her, My shivers stopped instantly. I'd recognize that girl even if she turned to ash. She was the classmate that scumbag Robin brought over in my past life. It didn't take a second guess. The one knocking on the neighbor's door had to be Robin, no doubt. He would be the only one who might have our floor access card. Oh boy, I almost forgot about those two. Right, considering the timeline. It's been 8 days since the outbreak of the zombies. In my past life, it only took 5 days for Robin to bring his classmate over seeking refuge. By now, they must be really desperate. It's infuriating. In my past life, they led to our demise, and we hadn't even gotten our revenge before they showed up again in this life, and miraculously, they hadn't been bitten by zombies along the way. A true disaster lasting 1,000 years. I put down the baton, took my best friend, who was gripping the pepper spray with a wary expression, and entered the study to turn on the stairwell surveillance. As expected, there was Robin, looking worn out, knocking on the door. While knocking, he kept shouting, "Baby, baby, I was wrong, I shouldn't have neglected you, baby, I'll treat you better from now on, let's not break up, open the door." My best friend's expression was complex. He hasn't looked for me for so long, and now he has the face to show up. How did I not notice before how nauseating his words could be? Seeing him just infuriated me. I tried to control my anger while keeping an eye on my best friend's emotions. Seeing that she wasn't softening, I calmed down and started thinking of what to do next. After a long while, Robin finally stopped, leaned back against the door and sat down. The girl was still hiding at the entrance of the stairwell. Seeing him stop, she even urged him, "Why stop? Keep calling, they must be inside, Robin. I already told you they went abroad." She's completely devoted to me. Hearing that I've changed my mind, it's impossible that there's no response for so long. I just didn't expect her to change the lock. I thought we'd at least find something to eat at her place. But now it's all over. Robin cradled his head. The girl, keep knocking. Her place definitely has food. She just doesn't want to open the door for you. Look, the stairwell and the rooftop doors are locked from the inside. And there's a door wedge below. Someone must be home. Hearing this, Robin got up and walked around the hallway, stopping at my door. It must be her meddling best friend keeping her from me. The breakup must have been instigated by her too. Wait till I get in and deal with them. Wow, how can someone be so shameless? Where's my stick? My best friend's eyes reddened, pointing at the screen, trembling with anger. Robin, does he think I'm a huge sucker? I must have been blind to have fallen for him. Before we could even get over our anger, the door to the stairwell suddenly shook from an impact, and the growling of zombies followed. The girl squatting at the entrance of the stairwell screamed and jumped up. Then the two of them, screaming, pressed themselves against my best friend's door, crying out, "Open the door, hurry, open the door, the zombies are coming, please baby, let me in, awoo." The woman's voice was piercing and the man's voice deep, both equally shrill, agitating the zombies to hit harder. This scene quickly cooled us down from our anger. Attracting zombies was no joke, although the door was sturdy, with these two fools shouting and provoking the zombies. If the stairwell door were breached, we would be in real danger of attracting a zombie horde. It turns out that crisis often sparks ingenuity. After a moment of insight, we quickly sprang into action. My best friend prepared in the computer room, while I dug out a secret weapon from our stockpile of supplies. Once ready, we swiftly moved to my best friend's door, where the two were still screaming, banging on the door loudly. Thanks to the teamwork we had honed over the past few days while playing co-op games, no words were necessary. A glance, with a forceful effort, I pried open a small slit in the lid of a surströmming can, while my best friend hit the play button on the speaker. Instantly, a foul stench filled the air, accompanied by the violent roaring of zombies. As my friend kicked off the door mat and leaped up energetically, I, on the other hand, grabbed a stick and started banging on the door. As expected, the two people outside viewed through the doorbell camera were terrified, screaming at the top of their lungs as they scrambled into the elevator, after turning off the speaker and waiting a while. The absence of noise meant the zombies in the stairwell were less aggressive. I took a deep breath, dashed to the elevator, and pressed the emergency stop button to prevent those two from coming back. Once the elevator indicated it was out of service, I quickly ran back home, and my friend promptly locked the door behind us. Those mere seconds were heart-stopping. We both collapsed on the floor, hands trembling as we clutched our wildly beating hearts and took deep breaths. Ugh. It was our turn to run for cover. Oh my God, the smell was unbearable. Help, we rushed to the balcony and took several deep breaths of fresh air before feeling revived. Our legs gave out, and we continued to sit slumped on the floor. This proved that desperation can lead to risky, impulsive decisions. If we had known those two were so easily frightened, we wouldn't have opened that deadly can, I lamented, regretting our actions as my friend thumped her thigh. If I had known how terrible that can was, I would have chosen to throw them down with my bare hands. We looked at each other, tears of regret streaming down our faces, but what was done, and we could only console each other. Perhaps without the can, they might not have been scared off, which could have been even more dangerous. However, the crisis wasn't completely over yet. Those scoundrels still had our floor card, and if they realized we were deceiving them or told someone else, we would still be in great danger. But that's unlikely, my friend said shakily. Given that smell, they might think we're already decomposed. That seemed likely. At least our telescope finally came in handy. Each of us took turns peering out the window, observing the situation downstairs. No need to search hard. The scoundrels were screaming and running around below, chased by a horde of zombies, one of whom, covered in blood, was that female classmate. We silently put down the telescope. Seeing this scene didn't bring any sense of vengeance, only sadness. When will our world ever return to normal, end of the world life? Following this incident, we were certain that there were more than a few zombies in our building. However, there was also good news. Our new door indeed could withstand the impact of zombies, and as long as we made no noise, zombies wouldn't randomly bump into our door, offering us a great sense of security. It also appeared that zombies weren't particularly sensitive to smells, or perhaps they just weren't interested in foul odors. After the zombies in the stairwell quieted down, we cautiously opened the door to the rooftop. Crouching as we went up, our main task was to dispose of the biological weapon, the surströmming can, and to shut down the elevator power completely from the rooftop machine room. Since we had gained confidence in our door and understood the habits of zombies, our fear had greatly diminished, allowing us to relax more in the following days. We just made sure to maintain silence each day. After indulging in video games for a few days, we switched to binge-watching movies and TV shows, snacking as we watched. When we got tired of snacking, we made hand-peeled, boneless spicy lemon chicken feet, fully indulging our love for them. Boneless chicken feet really are essential for binge-watching. You just can't stop eating them, but deboning was truly exhausting. After 2 days, we couldn't keep up with deboning for 4 hours each day, only for it to be consumed in an hour. Oh, how we missed the days of takeout. After giving up on boneless chicken feet, we started making braised snacks for our movie marathons. This was much easier, and the braised meat was soft and fell off the bone easily. We braised pig's feet, duck feet, chicken feet, duck wings, and duck necks, and even braised our fresh vegetables before they went bad, creating our favorite meat and vegetable combinations. The braised goods were also easy to store, adding richness and flavor to our instant meals. Gradually, we adapted to life in the apocalypse. Sure, the following is a natural-sounding translation of the text you provided. It's been a few weeks since the zombie outbreak and we've lost both electricity and water supply progressively. And there's no signal on the mobile phones either. This means things are not getting better. In fact, they're deteriorating. After the power went out, we had to rely primarily on solar panels to keep our refrigerator running for the sake of preserving our food. For entertainment and to keep fit, we resorted to generating electricity by pedaling on an exercise bike, which inadvertently cured us of our gaming addiction. Pedaling was just too exhausting. The power outage also enforced a more regulated routine on us. We had to be extremely careful about drawing the blackout curtains whenever we turned on any lights, checking repeatedly to make sure no light escaped. The brightness always left us feeling on edge, as if our house was glowing in the darkness. Eventually, we settled for using just a small desk lamp at night, which naturally led us to go to bed early. I suppose anyone would joke about how timid we've become. However, there were unexpected benefits, reducing our late nights and getting plenty of sleep, along with diligent skin care routines, left our skin unusually soft and smooth, a pleasant discovery indeed. Losing the water supply was a whole other issue. Though we weren't immediately short on water, we had to be frugal with it, no longer indulging in leisurely baths or washing things carelessly. Moreover, every sound from the sewer became starkly noticeable in the quiet of our lives. Initially, we reduced the frequency of flushing and pouring water down the drains, and once the water stopped completely, we ceased using the sewers altogether. Thankfully, we had the rooftop, and thankfully, It was spacious enough. Every couple of days, we took turns disposing of our household waste and wastewater on the roof, being careful not to let any water spill over. Life is tough, indeed, but in comparison, we are doing quite well, since the utilities stopped. We've seen many people from our neighborhood leave in search of food, few have returned, some never to be seen again, while others now wander aimlessly around the building complex. Regardless, life goes on day by day. It's been nearly 4 months since the outbreak began, and there's still no sign of improvement. We've launched drones twice during this period, only to find that zombies still overrun the outside. A desolate and horrifying sight with no trace of human activity. The second time we launched a drone, a man spotted it and stared intently at it. Due to our unfamiliarity with the controls and our nervousness, we lost that drone. It crashed to the ground and was instantly trampled by zombies. This incident left us sweating coldly and reminded us to be more vigilant and not to be detected. We can only pray that more people will survive this crisis. 12. No, winter is insurmountable. Slowly, winter arrived, signaling even greater challenges for those who have survived. This year's winter feels exceptionally cold, whether it's an actual change in weather or the chilling effect of the grim world outside without the comfort of air conditioning or heating. The cold seems to penetrate right to the bones. On the first day of winter, a snowstorm hit, and we woke up in the middle of the night freezing. We immediately laid out electric heating blankets and switched to heavy 10-pound cotton quilts, layering them to keep warm and resolving to stay in bed as much as possible unless absolutely necessary. Like for meals, our usual dishes like boneless chicken feet, marinated cold dishes, and various stir-fried foods with rice suddenly lost their appeal, mainly because they were cold to the core. At this time, the hot pot stove my friend bought became extremely useful. We enjoyed a dual pot, half mild broth and half spicy, eating and cooking simultaneously. We felt warm all over after the meal. When we didn't feel like having spicy food, we tried hot pot with thinly sliced lamb, using mineral water with some ginger and scallions as the base. We continuously cooked the lamb slices until the broth became deliciously rich and flavorful, a truly comforting and nourishing experience. We've sworn that once the world returns to normal, we must try authentic copper pot lamb hot pot with fresh meat. It will certainly taste even better. After several heavy snowfalls, we noticed that the zombies outside seemed unable to withstand the cold, often standing frozen like statues in the snow. We also discovered that other survivors remained in our community. For instance, some young people from the villa area took advantage of the zombies' slowed movements to drive out and successfully brought back a carload of supplies. In the building across from us, 2 agile young men worked together to lure the zombies from their building into the snowy outdoors, evading a rigid horde of zombies and safely returning home. They had closed the building's main door. There was even a team of 3 men and 2 women, all of whom appeared to be quite skilled. Every time they returned from outside, they would place some supplies in the gazebo at the center of the residential complex, and indeed, different people would come to take them. So later, we took advantage of the cover of night to deploy the drone, sending down compressed biscuits, instant noodles, and medicine back and forth. We couldn't help but hope, with winter here, could spring be far behind? On the first day of the new year, we were catching up on sleep after staying up late for the New Year's Eve, when suddenly we were awakened by the roar of airplanes. Shocked at first, we rushed to the window and looked up at the sky, tears of relief filling our eyes as we saw our national flag emblazoned on the planes. Within just half a month, the city had gradually restored its water and electricity supply, repaired the network signal base stations, and the zombies were systematically searched out by the military and taken away for isolation. The survivors also received assistance. Many people knelt in the snow, sobbing in a cathartic release, their emotions a mix of gratitude and sorrow. We were saved. Epilogue. After being rescued, all survivors had to undergo health checks to ensure they were not carrying the zombie virus. My best friend and I went for the checks too. The results were immediate. After my friend's check, she went outside to wait for me, but when it was my turn, the staff took me to a laboratory at the back. As I was led away, a suspicion began to form in my mind. I've always had a secret. I am not from this world. 10 years ago, my friend's parents found me unconscious on the street. I was about 15 years old at the time, but in the world I originally came from, I had lived for 25 years. I had just graduated from university and had been working for 2 years, living a happy and fulfilling family life. One day, while I was hiking alone, I experienced an earthquake. When I woke up again, I found myself at the age of 15, although the language was the same. The layout and cultural history of this world were completely different from my original world. At that time, I was very frightened and, to protect myself, pretended to have amnesia. Fortunately, my friend's family was very supportive, and with my extra 10 years of life experience, I gradually found my footing in this new world. This secret stayed deeply buried in my heart until the zombie outbreak, when I finally told my friend while we were confined at home. Thankfully, she did not blame me for keeping it a secret. Instead, she expressed sympathy for all I had endured alone. We agreed that in this world, we would be each other's family, the closest and dearest relatives. I asked the staff to tell my friend to go home first and not to wait outside for me. The staff took me to a meeting room, where after an unknown amount of time, several elderly professors with bright eyes but weary looks, along with some assistants, arrived. As I followed them to the laboratory for a more detailed physical examination, they shared the truth of the situation. And I shared my own story with them. It turned out that there are many parallel worlds in the universe, and with the advancement of technology, scientists had gradually explored the technology of space-time transmission. However, the technology was unstable, and experiments often led to explosions. The earthquake that brought me to this world was likely an explosion in a space-time lab near my original world, which distorted space-time and transported me 10 years into the past of another world. That explosion had opened a channel for communication between two worlds. As the two worlds continued to exchange and learn from each other, space-time technology matured. Initially, they tried transporting objects, then animals. However, due to the differences between worlds, the genetics and viruses carried by the organisms varied, leading to many uncontrollable mutations during cross-temporal travel. Consequently, both worlds agreed to stop the transportation experiments and only continue with information exchange and learning. Nonetheless, some criminals continued to conduct these experiments without mature technology, and they began transporting people. Some people arrived without any issues, but others mutated into zombies with strong infectious capabilities, capable of infecting and mutating ordinary people with just a scratch. Since the genetics of people from the two worlds were different, and the zombies depended on the genetics of people from my original world, finding people from alternate worlds became a priority in treating the zombie outbreak. The professors reassured me that there was no need to fear. It didn't pose any harm to my body, but I needed to stay in the lab for a while to assist with the research. I agreed, on the condition that I could contact my best friend to prevent her from worrying. The old professor readily agreed and, with a smile, instructed his assistant to escort me to the isolation room. Through the glass window, I could see my best friend waiting anxiously outside. A young, handsome staff member in uniform stood beside her and teasingly said to me, "You two really share a deep bond." Even though I told her everything was fine and it was just for research, she was still quite scared and insisted on finding you. She couldn't be stopped. My best friend, annoyed and slightly embarrassed, glared at him and snorted indignantly. I couldn't help but feel my eyes moisten a bit. After explaining everything to my best friend, I asked the staff to take good care of her during this time. As time went on, more and more scientists arrived at the lab, working tirelessly day and night to compare my genes with those of the zombies. Eventually, they successfully developed a vaccine that could restore the zombies to normal, and the world slowly returned to its usual course. Regarding my rebirth 10 days before the zombie outbreak, the kind old scientist provided some explanations. It seemed that when I traveled through time and space, my body also underwent some mutations, which were specific to me. It might have been the reaction between the zombie genes and mine from a zombie bite that caused me to travel back in time to before the outbreak. However, the specifics are still beyond the full explanation of current scientific technology, and further research is needed. I also managed to send a message through time and space to reassure my family in another world, although I can't return home yet. The old professor promised that once future technology advanced further and time-space transmission stabilized, he would definitely help me visit home more often. After everything settled down, my best friend had already bought plane tickets in anticipation, and now that life has finally returned to normal, we are ready to travel the world and savor the cuisine of various places.